Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends at Minio, the high-performance Kubernetes native object store that's built for the multi-cloud, creating a consistent data storage layer for your public cloud instances, your private cloud instances, and even your edge instances, depending upon what the heck you're defining those as, which depends probably on where you work. It's getting that unified is one of the greatest challenges facing developers and architects today. It requires S3 compatibility, enterprise-grade security and resiliency, the speed to run any workload, and the footprint to run anywhere, and that's exactly what Minio offers. With superb read speeds in excess of 360 gigs and a 100 megabyte binary that doesn't eat all the data you've got on the system, it's exactly what you've been looking for. Check it out today at min.io/download and see for yourself. That's min.io/download, and be sure to tell them that I sent you.
Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS, the podcast. First, an announcement. After a fair bit of looking, I wasn't able to find a job board that catered specifically to AWS-centric skills. I know people are looking for work right now, and I want to help them out, so I built one myself. Meet jobs.lastweekinaws.com. Should you happen to work at AWS and wish not to, you can also get to the same place via lastweekawaws.com. Now, if you're looking for work, check it out. If you're hiring and want to source candidates that actually know what AWS is, post a job. This is the MVP or version 1 of the job board. Should people find it useful, I intend to do a whole lot more with the second version, so stay tuned. Now, that's my announcement. What are AWS's? Amazon EC2 announces the ability to create AMIs that can boot on UEFI and legacy BIOS. Okay, I'm confused. AMIs run on EC2 and nothing else. So why would I need to support legacy BIOS other than the fact that some legacy operating systems demand that you wait a minute, what are you running on EC2? What have you done? AWS Application Composer is now generally available. After being teased in preview, it's now available for your spinning up containers purposes. AWS Cloud Shell now supports the modular variant of AWS tools for PowerShell. I've never heard of someone using PowerShell inside of a Linux shell, which is what Cloud Shell is, but I'm sure those folks are out there. If you're one of them, would you mind whacking reply or reaching out to me and telling me about your use case? Because I'm having some trouble picturing it. AWS Config now supports 18 new resource types. For most of us, this is simply going to manifest as even more of an AWS config tax. We don't know what it's doing, but Control Tower requires it, and thus here we are, staring at it on our AWS bill. AWS Lambda now supports up to 10 gigabytes of ephemeral storage for Lambda functions in 6 additional regions. Unfortunately, other than piecing together multiple blog posts like this one, there's no way to figure out which features of a given service are supported in any given region other than attempting to deploy something there and seeing if it succeeds. Really feels like that should change. AWS announces new competition structure for the 2023 season. I was super excited to see what this means for the expo floor at reInvent this year until I clicked on it and realized it was talking about Deep Racer. AWS Resource Explorer supports 12 new resource types. I keep forgetting that it doesn't cover all of them already, and now I'm realizing why I couldn't find a thing that I'd sworn I'd built in a particular account last week. Announcing lower data warehouse base capacity configuration for Amazon Redshift serverless, but it still doesn't scale to 0 and thus isn't serverless. Meet the newest AWS heroes for March of 2023. This quarter's new AWS heroes have been announced/minted/decanted, so marvel at how heroic they are. Then come sit with me on the curb so we can clap as they pass us by. Subscribe to AWS daily feature updates via Amazon SNS. This is a bizarre way to sign up for an email newsletter. The email then fails to properly indent JSON while delivering the content in JSON anyway. Who is this for exactly? Calculate Amazon DynamoDB reserve capacity recommendations to optimize costs. Before you do this, you definitely want to see if switching a given table to pay per request is better for your workload. Thank me later. How to use deletion protection to enhance your Amazon DynamoDB table protection strategy. Well, guess what I'm enabling immediately? This reminds me of the time that point-in-time recovery for DynamoDB came out exactly 3 days before I needed it, so I'm not tempting fate again. Push notification engagement metrics tracking. There sure are a whole lot of companies out there who've forgotten that my electronic devices exist for my convenience and not theirs. And finally, build cloud operations skills using the new AWS observability training. I keep meaning to figure out how CloudWatch actually works, and this might not be a half-bad way to do it. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. Remember to check out the job board and stay salty, friends.